Before we really get tearing into our layout here, I wanted to show you a couple of quick things related to guides, Photoshop's grid, and also snapping. So I have my rulers turned on. Make sure you still have your rulers turned on as well. And I want to run you through guides really quickly. If you've never worked with guides before, essentially what they are non-printing horizontal and vertical lines that you can use to help you along with your layout. Maybe, for example, you want to know where the dead center of your layout is. Or maybe you're setting up some bleeds for your print design. If you know about bleeds or if you know about safety margins, things like this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in on my layout just a little bit here. I'm just going to hit Command plus or Control plus there on the Windows side if you like. And I'm just going to sort of pan myself over to the top left corner. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a couple of quick guides here for you. All I'm going to do to create my guide is simply bring my cursor into the vertical ruler. So it's a vertical guide that I want to create here. So anywhere along this vertical ruler is just fine. And then all I'm going to do is click and drag out into the middle of my layout, something like this, right? And now what I get is this light blue vertical line. That's a guide. And again, it's a non-printing line, so it's not going to show up on your output or anything like this. Or, you know, if we were building a web layout, which we'll do later on, we can use all the guides in the world. We can throw in tons of guides to help us lay out our document and make sure everything's nice and lined up, but they won't output to the web either. So keep that in mind. So vertical guides are easy. Bring your cursor into the middle of the vertical ruler and drag out into the middle of your document. And horizontal guides are just as easy. All I'm going to do here is bring my cursor into my horizontal ruler across the top, anywhere along that ruler, and then click and drag down. That's all there is to it, right? And I can create as many guides as I need for my layout, which is wonderful. Now, if I want to go and reposition the guides that I've created here inside my layout, all I need to do is make sure that I'm on the Move tool inside the toolbox on the left-hand side, the first tool there. Hit the V key on your keyboard if you're not on that guy. It's a keyboard shortcut for him. Now what I can do is I can bring my cursor over top of any guide, horizontal or vertical, and then now I can reposition this guy. I can drag him up or drag him down, right? Now oftentimes what I wind up doing is as I'm repositioning my guides or as I'm creating my initial guides, I use the opposite ruler to help me position that guide. Now, let me show you what I mean here. So I'm going to use this horizontal guide as an example here. I dragged him out from the horizontal ruler, and let's say I'm still dragging him out. I'm just creating him. What I would do is I would use the vertical ruler, the opposite ruler, to help me position this guy. So if you move your eye over to my vertical ruler on the left-hand side, you can see I'm at the 10 millimeter mark on the vertical ruler. Maybe that's exactly where I want this guy. So maybe something like that. And I would do the same for vertical guides. So maybe I'll bring this guy to the 10 millimeter mark on the horizontal ruler running across the top, right? Say something like this. And then maybe I'll move this guy to the 20 millimeter mark on the horizontal ruler, and I'll do the same here on the vertical ruler, the 20 millimeter mark there. So say something like this. Hopefully all straightforward there. Once you have your guides set inside your layout, and I'm just doing this quickly here, I'm just throwing in a couple of quick example guides here for you, but once you get all your guides laid out, you don't want to accidentally bump them or move them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head up to Photoshop's View menu and then down to Lock Guides. And with Lock Guides turned on, now I can't move these guides. See, I get this warning here now. Can't complete your request because the layer is locked. It thinks I'm trying to drag on my background layer now. So that's the deal there. So probably a good idea when you first start your layout to get your guides in place first, then lock them, and then begin building your layout. Now, what I'm going to do here is I want to temporarily disable the display of my guides. Usually I use a keyboard shortcut for this too, by the way. This is great if you want to get a preview of your layout. Try hitting Command semicolon or Control semicolon if you're on a PC. And that's just a toggle on and off. Control or Command semicolon. Or what you can do is you can head to your View menu and then all the way down to Show and then look for Guides right there. Okay, perfect stuff. All right, now, last but not least, what I want to do here is I want to clear my guides. I want to delete them. I want to get rid of them. There's a couple of different ways to do this. Let me show you something here. I'm going to head to the View menu, And then I'm going to unlock my guides just by choosing lock guides again. Of course, now I can move these guys around. Now, what I could do if I wanted to delete an individual guide is I could simply drag him into a ruler, any ruler. So in other words, drag these guides back into a ruler, something like that. Or what I can do is I can head to the View menu and then all the way down to Clear Guides. In other words, get rid of all the guides inside my layout. Now, of course, be careful when you're doing that. But anyway, there you go. That's your guides there. Hopefully all straightforward. I want to show you one more guide command, actually, just while I think of it. Now, you know about dragging guides out from the ruler already, and you know about positioning them on the opposing ruler and all this kind of good stuff. That's all fine and well. But what if I know that I want to create, for example, a vertical guide exactly at the 40mm mark? For instance. Well, I could drag it out and I could eyeball it, or I can get Photoshop to do it for me. So check this out. I'm going to head to the View menu, and then I'm going to head all the way down to New Guide. And then inside the New Guide dialog box, I would say, all right, I want to create a horizontal guide or a vertical guide. And then I would type in the position. I said I wanted to create a vertical guide at the 40mm mark. So just like this, click on OK. And there we go. There's our guide exactly positioned for us. So if you don't like eyeballing stuff, you can always precisely create new guides, again, just by heading to View and then down to New Guide. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to choose Clear Guides, because next up I want to talk about the grid, and I also want to talk about snapping in Photoshop as well.